Hai, selamat datang ke episod kedua DoraeME4A yang dibawakan oleh Gerakan Media Untuk Semua. Nama saya Hazwany Jamaluddin. Saya merupakan pakar literasi media dan maklumat dan pengacara untuk episod kali ini. Pada petang ini, kita mempunyai tetamu khas, Profesor Madya Dr. Sabariah Muhammad Saleh. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you so much, Shwani.
What is the best address that do you prefer me calling Professor Madya ke
No.
Dr. Sabariah ke Professor Madya Dr. Sabariah?
I know you can call me Sabariah, Sab. My students would call me Dr. Sab, so it's totally up to you.
Okay, cool. So everybody, Dr. Sab ni merupakan Profesor Madya untuk Fakulti Sains Sosial dan Kemanusiaan di Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Dan juga penyelia universiti untuk Fact Check Lab, Ketua Sekretariat untuk JomCheck Malaysia, Research Fellow untuk A-Asia dan pengarah majlis dan aktiviti untuk Southeast Asian Media Studies Association. That's a long list of experience, Dr. Sab. When I had to do this research, it's like, wow, you're so busy.
That's right. I always tell you I have a lot of things on my plate.
Yeah, do you have enough sleep? I'm
Yes.
curious. That's good. With all this long list of studies that you've done, even your experience, what inspired you to pursue this career in media and delve into information literacy?
So I started my career actually as a journalist with NST, and then baru jadi lecturer.
Okay.
When I was a lecturer, when I did my PhD, my studies were on young people and the media.
Okay.
So at that point of time, I wanted to see how the media help shape young people's cultural identity. In a way, macam when looking back, I rasa that was like the titik tolak where it is related to media literacy on how they access media, how they watch media, how they make meaning from what they watch. On media and all that. But at that point of time, of course, it was 2009, 10, 11. So masa tu, it wasn't really much on social media. It was more on TV. A lot of people were studying TV addiction and etc. But then as technology advanced and all that, and then there were lots of interest, firstly on Facebook, and then Instagram, and then there was Twitter, and now of course we have TikTok. So I guess, and then when you have all these media, social media platforms,
Right.
I noticed that it is easier for people to share information, but on one hand it also means it's very easy to share information which is not true, information which can defame people, information which is false, and all that. So I thought, hey, why not be an expert in this area, and help empower people to combat all this dissemination of misinformation, disinformation, and help our users to be more critical, in thinking, in assessing media, in understanding the messages on the media.
Cool. That's amazing. So, with your long list of years in teaching, so what is the most rewarding aspect in teaching media information literacy to your students? You've met so many generation of students through how many years already?
Oh my God, since I've been teaching since 2006.
Wow.
Okay, how
Do
many
the math.
years is that?
More than 10 years. I hope.
Definitely more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the most rewarding, aspect of
So
it?
the thing is, actually, dekat university, there is no specific subject on media literacy or media and information literacy.
Masa tu. ke
Masa
sekarang?
tu. Sekarang pun I just started a new subject.
Okay.
And that only started in 2020.
Okay.
2020, yeah. I only started teaching media and information literacy. at a university level in 2020. But before, I mean, memang tak ada a specific subject, but we do teach about, critical thinking. We do teach about media framing. We do
Right.
teach about, ethics, integrity, media law, which
Almost
are all
everything lah.
elements, ownership and control, which are all part and parcel of media literacy as well.
Right.
So itulah, mungkin tak ada spesifik, tapi we do teach. Sayangnya it's only to media students. That's the part yang macam sayang, because I believe lah this media literacy skills ni is very important to be inculcated among all,
Right.
not just specifically towards media students.
Betul, betul. So that's a good segue to take a break, because I'm gonna have more list of questions that I want to ask you, because I find the work that you've done in the past has been very interesting. So let's take a break, and we'll be back. Okay, I ada satu soalan I nak tanya, based on your experience. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing media literacy education in Malaysia?
Wow, that's a big question. But I think one of the biggest challenge of media literacy education in Malaysia is that we do not have a formal media literacy education in Malaysia. Kita tak ada. Kita bukan macam Philippines. Yang ada subjek spesifik untuk ajar media literacy dekat sekolah. We're not like Indonesia yang the media literacy fact checking punya industry is very robust. Dekat sini I think we are still taking baby steps with media literacy education. However, I do see kerajaan trying to instill critical thinking skills in di sekolah, in which I think is also one part and a very important part in media literacy education. Cuma I would say lah, okay, one of the ways they try to instill critical thinking skills ni melalui soalan-soalan kebat contohnya. Soalan kebat in schools. They want students to think outside the box. Kononnya. Why I say kononnya? Because bila diorang answer soalan tu, they are still required to answer within the answer scheme. So how outside the box,
still masih nak dapat A kan?
Exactly. So macam how outside the box is actually outside the box, because even though you want them to think outside the box, but it's still within a framework yang telah tentukan in the beginning. So I think, I don't know, that's the challenge I would say of media literacy education. Lagi satu adalah there are a lot of efforts tau. This is through my research lah. Efforts in trying to educate young people, the masyarakat on media literacy skills. Like macam how do you use Google, how do you search for information, how do you create contents, and etc. Ada effort, tapi effort ni is by this one group, and then there's another separate group, so everybody works in silo.
Right. Ada cluster dia lah.
Betul, macam orang ni buat benda ni, orang tu buat benda tu, and then macam you pun buat juga. It's, if we all come together and we work on together, then we'll be stronger, and we can approach this in a more systematic manner. So in which I rasa one of the effort by Persatuan Pendidik Literasi Media Malaysia, SMILE, I think that's a good start. Of course MEFA punya effort in doing module literasi media for cikgu-cikgu sekolah, I rasa it's a very very good start. But again, itu adalah voluntary basis kan. So some people they would think, what do I get from this? It's just an extra set. But itulah, that's the challenge I rasa lah.
So following up from your jawapan, do you think there shouldn't be a framework? Because like kalau macam kita nak encourage critical thinking, when our society from we were young sampai we have a new generation, kita nak enable them to have this, kira macam mana, dia macam nak ada keinginan untuk mencari sesuatu, ingin tahu, and then dig deeper. That sort of like skills yang I would say dying on critical thinking skills.
Betul.
So should there be a framework?
it's good if there is a framework, because with framework that means macam there's support from the government, we have an outline on how to inculcate these skills. Tapi kan one of the things lah yang kita tak boleh nak deny, I think negara-negara Western, they have a lot of European framework of digital literacy and whatever not kan.
Correct.
Tapi kalau kita nak adapt dia secara total, mungkin tak boleh, because kita sangat unik dari segi bangsa, religion, our culture is so different. For instance kan, macam katalah anak-anak kita have that perasaan ingin tahu and they want to question. But let's say it's their older sister or mak yang share a WhatsApp message. It will be very difficult for them to counter that, because nanti mak kata, oh tak dengar cakap mak mak dah mengandung 9 bulan, you should listen to mama. You know what I mean? They have that kind of, kita ada concept filial piety. We are a collectivistic society. We have respect, and then we are very hierarchical in a manner in which dah memang ingrained dari kecil benda tu. So it's difficult. Kalau kita nak counter balik, someone, even our teachers, kalau cikgu cakap benda yang salah dekat sekolah pun, contoh kan, betulkan masalah soalan bahasa Inggeris wrongly, because this is my personal experience. My children susah nak cakap kat cikgu, actually apa yang I buat tu betul, because cikgu dah kata is salah. You know what I mean?
They're stuck in between.
Macam cikgu dah cakap, I can't say to tell teacher that this is wrong, because that means I don't respect him or her. So it's something that is, it's our norms and values lah, related juga dengan benda tu.
So do you feel that the norms, Malaysian norms and values, when it's very hierarchical, feudalistic, quite patriarchal, dia macam, adakah itu a big roadblock to for our new generation untuk go past that, a more literate, more critical thinking society?
I think it is somewhat like a roadblock as well, because when they change, then they will be labeled as individualistic, liberal, dah tak ada nilai-nilai masyarakat timur,
macam Americans lah.
They are becoming more westernized. Contohnya, why are they voicing out? Dah tak ada respect kepada ni and all that. On one hand, memang betul, kadang-kadang we do, not kadang-kadang, but culture, norms and values is a very important and critical thing in our society. Memang kita tak dapat nafikan.
Betul.
Tetapi I rasa lah, in terms of macam trying to combat, contohnya penyebaran maklumat palsu, maklumat salah and all that, and also to combat online bullying, sharing of benda-benda yang tak patut dikongsi on social media, benda-benda ni boleh diinculcate through critical thinking skills. Tapi mungkin cara kita nak approach tu, it has to be a Malaysianized or Malaysian context. Kita tak boleh ambil konteks Western and all that. Sebab tu some Western country would say, kita tak ada media freedom, kita tak ada freedom of speech, contohnya. Because we are not allowed to talk LGBTQ+ in the open, for instance, right? But kita tak boleh deny, kenapa kita tak boleh cakap? Because of our religion and because of also our culture. So Mak Saleh might not be able to understand that, because for them it's everybody semua sama, for instance kan. Tapi kita macam kita ada kita punya agama, kita punya budaya, which kita yang masih kita pegang teguh. So it's not easy lah, I rasa.
There's a follow-up questions on that. So in your experience, as an academician and as a researcher, do you think there's like a differences in like media information literate, I wouldn't say society yet, but new generation sekarang, the urban areas and rural areas?
So I think firstly, I rasa I've been trying to look juga sebenarnya for statistics or for any sort of information on on measurement scale ke apa yang dah measure digital literacy or media literacy, kemahiran media literacy ni, urban and rural and what not. Actually I tak jumpa lagi if there is a specific nationwide kind of study. I rasa tak ada. Mungkin dari segi macam university kind of study dekat Lembah Kelang and what not, ada, tapi it's not the whole population of Malaysia. So having said that, I think it's very difficult untuk kita bezakan antara rural dan urban when kita punya urban sendiri pun ada yang masalah untuk akses kepada media. Kita boleh tengok sendiri masa MCO. You know, when teachers had to teach online and all that, not all students even yang duduk di bandar mempunyai akses kepada device. So this access to device sendiri is a reflection on how tak equal kita punya exposure to the media, to media contents and whatnot. So access ni or digital divide, I would say, affects how people dapat maklumat, affects how they kongsi maklumat, and affects how what the type of maklumat that they are exposed to. So
there's no particularly macam ada benchmark lah untuk differentiate this different type of society lah, urban dengan rural kan.
Betul.
That's very interesting. Okay, so I have more questions for you, but we need to take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Selamat kembali, and we're still with Dr. Sabariah. I have one question that I want to ask you. What is your most recent research that you're working on right now?
Oh my god, I think my paling recent sekali is on pornography and TikTok. Tapi tu I tak collect data lagi, baru buat literature review and all that. So prior to that is on JomCheck.
Okay.
And the data we collected on tips given by public on things they are curious about and things they find macam was-was or ingin tahu. So for context, takut pendengar and penonton tak tahu, JomCheck is actually a coalition of media organizations, academicians, and civil societies yang membuat fact checking dan menyebarkan findings from the fact checking based on the general elections baru-baru ni. So that's what we are lah.
So based on your experience on work, collecting and witnessing how JomCheck punya database been built sejak daripada general election sampai ke sekarang sebelum the state election begins.
Yeah.
When you observe this data, what is the most notable findings that you see when people share false information online? Because dalam the database there's so many categories kan. So what is the one, can you share one notable findings that you feel like, okay, this is interesting coming from our Malaysians?
Yeah, I think one interesting thing is how our Malaysians sebenarnya tak tahu apa yang dia nak tahu.
Okay.
From how they ask, because we have a tip line tau. And then dia akan buat macam ni. Dia akan hantar, let's say the video is 20 minutes long.
Okay.
Dia akan hantar the whole 20 minutes video and cakap betul tak benda ni. So if it's a 20-minute video, there'll be so many information on it,
definitely.
Which could be opinion or could be things which are not fact checkable, ataupun apa-apa sajalah kan. So actually sebagai organisasi semak fakta ni, kita tak tahu which part of the 20 minute tu yang actually you are curious about, that you want to find out, that you want us to check.
Right.
So I think this is something interesting about Malaysians.
Yeah.
So mungkin diorang, how to say, diorang tak pasti what are types of claims yang kita boleh semak, or we can do credibility, check the credibility and fact check, and what are type of claims that is not fact checkable.
Right.
So
is that a reflection of our education? Sebab cara pertanyaan from Malaysians yang start to WhatsApp JomCheck. Is that a reflection of our education, going back to the first few questions that we discussed earlier?
I rasa nak cakap education pun susah sebab diorang tak di-educate pun tentang benda tu in the first place, right? I mean, they are not taught, like what are claims which are fact checkable, what are claims that cannot be fact checked, apa yang boleh kita semak fakta. Sebab tu yang kita cuba perjuangkan supaya ada elemen-elemen kemahiran literasi media dan maklumat diajar dalam sekolah. Bukan kata nak introduce subjek baru. Bukan kata macam we need like a specific chapter on media literacy. Cukup rasa sekadar kalau kita boleh embedkan sikit-sikit dalam pengajaran matematik ke geografi, sains, sejarah, BM and etc. I think it can be done. Because I rasa MEFA pun dah spearhead dengan buat modul media literacy tu. And I think thousands of teachers telah mengikuti kursus or modul tersebut. And so they are equipped with that skill, but how do they then apply it in their daily teachings? So maybe this is something that mungkin kerajaan tak nak wajibkan, tapi kita boleh galakkan cikgu-cikgu untuk include dalam pengajaran.
Right. Okay. There's one question, tapi another question tu I teringat nak tanya ya. Sekarang kan social media platforms ada banyak. So that impact how media organisation and journalist reports.
Okay.
So in your observation,
Right.
Is there any changes to how now media need to report?
It's funny that you asked this question because this was something I just talked about with my students as well.
Okay.
Because recently, tak tahu lah you perasan ke tak lah, recently I noticed you know how a lot, even media arus perdana, they have their social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter and whatever not. So happened that there's one media arus perdana ni, this one particular one, they have started doing this thing whereby they akan update status, tapi status tu macam a clickbait tau. One of it was minum air sejuk semasa musim panas boleh pecah salur darah. That was like maybe not verbatim lah, tapi that was the gist of the thing. And that was a misinformation sebenarnya, because it was something spoken by a researcher yang kata this is a myth. Tapi they pick that up to jadi dia punya like title, status update kind of thing. So it make people macam, oh my god, kita sebab kan musim panas sekarang, kita tak boleh minum, nanti kan salur darah pecah ke whatever not. So unless you click on the story, baru you tahu salah sebenarnya. So I rasa this has got to do with this race ataupun competition to get people to click on their story, to baca the story and all that. Cuma perangai Malaysians ni, I'm sorry if I'm stereotyping or generalizing, tapi I rasa mungkin kita tak ramai yang rajin untuk baca the whole story. So mungkin banyak pun mungkin baca the first paragraph, tapi paling banyak I rasa is just baca the headline je pun. And then you make an assumption and terus share without even reading the thing in the whole context. So this is very dangerous sebenarnya. And because of that, macam banyak media menggunakan taktik ni untuk mendapatkan pembaca and whatever not kan. It's scary. But sometimes tak nak fault them juga, because they need the advertisers money ke whatever not kan. So
Interesting. Okay. We need to take a break, but we'll be right back. Hai, kita kembali dengan Dr. Sabariah, masih lagi di sini. I have one last question sebelum kita ke next activity. So this question is, media literacy is not about consuming information, but also about creating and sharing content responsibly. What advice would you give to individuals, particularly young people, on producing and sharing media content in an ethical and responsible manner?
Wow, soalan ni sangat sesuai sebab sekarang kita banyak sangat young people yang bercita-cita jadi influencer, YouTuber, TikToker,
correct,
and all that. I would say I think one of my main advice would be to fikir, is it, what you're sharing tu, is it important for other people to know? Sebab kadang-kadang kita sebagai content creator ni, contoh kan, kita nak jadi the first to share.
Yep.
We want to be, contoh, if we are at the scene of accident, right?
Yeah.
Some people, they would have the urge to berhenti kereta tepi jalan, and to record, and to macam accident berlaku di kilometer 30 bla bla bla, tiada kematian, contoh. But the fact is, that person yang share today, they have no training in journalism, for instance, and did they really check betul ke accident tu ada kematian atau tak ada kematian, or what actually happened that caused the accident. Sebab sometimes orang kata, ni pemandu, assumptions come, pemandu mabuk lah, tertidur semasa memandu, whatever not, without even checking with the police officers and whatever. But they have that tendency to share sebab, I was there first. And then it's going to be viral. People are going to know my social media accounts and start following me bila I share benda tu. So the important thing is to fikir, is it really important for you to share? How would this benefit the society kalau you share benda ni? What are the repercussions of sharing? Sebab apa? Sharing of media content ataupun any content per se, sebenarnya ada repercussion buruk. Kematian pernah berlaku. Like in India, just because a viral WhatsApp about orang-orang yang dituduh merogol some people, tourists who went to that particular village were killed. Diorang dipukul dan terbunuh because of that viral WhatsApp. Why? Because people nak share, because jadi the first to share, orang kena tahu and all that. So fikir balik, have you really validated that information? Is your information credible? And are you actually the pakar to talk about it in the first place? Because I do see macam content creators yang macam ala-ala tiba-tiba dia lah doktor pakar untuk cakap pasal COVID, for instance, padahal tak ada medical degree pun. Ataupun a beauty influencer cakap tentang ubat-ubat yang kita boleh makan, contoh untuk COVID contohnya. Tapi dia hanya dulu share makeup tutorials and whatever not. But because they have a lot of followers yang mungkin taksub and number one fan, they have the power, I would say, to influence people. They have the power to be opinion leaders, right? And it's scary sebenarnya. So when you have a lot of followers, Waima kadang-kadang you hanya tinggalkan komen review dekat Shopee 5 star ke 3 star, your comment review tu sebenarnya orang tengok, and it can influence people nak beli ke tak beli. Itu pun salah satu contoh how you influence people. So it's very important to fikir betul-betul sebelum berkongsi, and fikir betul-betul the effects and how can whatever you share to benefit society. Janganlah kongsi perkara yang remeh, I would say, or kosong yang tak ada value and all that. So really need to think about it.
Wow. Okay. So kira kita kena check sebelum kita bertindak melulu.
Betul. Betul. Get all sides of the story first. Don't be biased. That's also important.
Jangan forward dulu. Kena baca dulu.
Betul.
Right. Okay. So we have this one activity that we want to do with you.
Okay.
This activity is basically 1 minit 1 soalan bersama Dr. Sabariah. So there is like a special bowl. Tak glamour bowl ni, but we're kind of like
it's a pink bowl.
It's a thick bowl. So basically I would like you to pick whichever question that you want to pick here, and then you jawab soalan in 1 minute, and we have a timer.
Okay.
So you can see the timer right there. So no pressure.
Okay, first question. Tak pressure, tapi pressure juga sebenarnya kan. Macam ni kan perasaan Viva macam tu. Okay, the question is, what advice would you give to anyone interested in pursuing a career in media and information literacy education? I think you must have the passion and kesabaran. And kenapa I katakan the passion? Because I rasa kadang-kadang some people they don't understand why it is important. You know, why is media literacy education important? So you must have that passion so that you will never give up. Kesabaran is also very important. Because like I think it's like a fight. Bukan fight lah, tapi macam mana nak persuade people, influence people to also macam think that how media literacy can empower the society and create social change. So,
cool. Wow, that's under 1 minute. Cool. Well done. So we're on to the next question.
Okay,
I need to pick a more glamorous bowl. Okay.
Good job. Okay, next question adalah, what are some simple tips for individuals to improve their media literacy skills? Okay, so simple tips I would give is to when you read something, jangan percaya dulu. Kalau I lah. Okay, you need to be skeptical first. And then when you come across any information, you must always do a background check. Betul ke ABC cakap benda ni? And then you check for the credibility. Okay, kadang-kadang macam yang kongsi tu bukan pakar bidang. Contohnya tentang let's say kejadian global warming. Tapi tiba-tiba pakar media yang cakap tentang global warming. Like what credibility or what authority does that person have on the issue of global warming? Sebab dia tak pernah buat research, tak pernah, it's just based on orang lain cakap ke dan sebagainya. So check for the credibility of that of this whoever yang share that maklumat. And I think that's it.
Oh, steady. 5 seconds. Wow.
Kan nervous macam, oh my god, 4 more seconds kan.
You've done this before.
No, I don't.
Okay. Now we have a few more questions.
Okay, next. Dia macam surprise question kan.
Yeah, definitely. Cookie, apa tu? Cookie tu.
Ni
question.
apa?
What is that? Is that name?
Fortune
Fortune
cookie.
cookie.
Yeah. Okay, soalan seterusnya. What do you think is the biggest misconception about media literacy education? Oh my god. What is the biggest misconception about media literacy education? I think the biggest misconception would be that it is just about accessing information and checking the credibility, nak buat fact check dan sebagainya. Tapi we forgot that content creating content, sharing information is also part of media literacy education. How do you share maklumat? What type of maklumat do you share? How do you decide what to share? So that is also part of media literacy education. And I think also one of the biggest misconception is that orang fikir golongan muda kita sebenarnya kurang kemahiran literasi media dan maklumat. I rasa actually golongan muda kita banyak. I mean they possess a lot of that kemahiran. Cuma maybe they choose not to use the kemahiran. So that is so that, tapi sebab masa tak cukup kan nak explain. So
Just terus countdown like one. Oh.
Kan?
It's like whoa.
Macam tu kan.
Okay, we have a few more questions right here.
Okay. Seterusnya. Last 2. Okay. Oh. How can educators make media and information literacy education more engaging and interactive for students? Okay, this is a very interesting question. I rasa the main important thing is that to not be so theoretical. I think teachers or academicians, lecturers, oh my god, they would go on menurut buku, whatever not. Media literacy adalah blah 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 blah.
That's quite academic, kan?
Yeah, but that is how teachers and lecturers would teach.
Okay.
Tapi in order to make it more engaging, you have to go back to how do they apply it to real life.
Right.
Mungkin boleh buat macam how do you shoot a video, what goes through your thought process masa nak buat video tu. Contohnya the editing process and whatever not. That is actually a reflection of how you frame your content. How it was also make students realize yang sebenarnya dia shoot 1 jam tapi yang keluar 5 minit je. So in real life macam tu juga, in whatever program they watch, even berita, they are not looking or going through or have access to the whole picture. So yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. That's like 1 minute.
Oh my god. No.
Guys, Dr. Sabariah is creating a standard of 1 minute, 1 soalan, guys.
This is not rehearsed.
This is not rehearsed, by the way. We have 2 more questions that we want to invite you to answer.
Next question.
Actually, last question.
Oh, last question. Okay, last question. Oh my god. This was a question I hope it won't be asked. Okay, what is your favorite book or resource on media and information literacy? Sebanyak sebenarnya buku on and resource on media and information literacy. Tapi sebab I sendiri ada buat module on media and information literacy, so I'm going to pompang about the module.
Yeah.
So in collaboration with UNESCO, we actually my colleagues and I actually produce even Wani pun wrote a chapter sebenarnya. Yes, okay. So literasi media dan maklumat untuk pelajar universiti. So we have a module on that, and it is available on UKM MOOC under kursus UNESCO Literasi Media dan Maklumat. So you can access it di UKM MOOC as well. Dalam UKM MOOC pun ada banyak teaching materials, slides, videos and whatever not that you can go through as well. But of course the one yang Mifa dah buat juga, which is available on KPM punya website. I think that's a very good resource untuk cikgu-cikgu access and go through. Yeah.
Last soalan also under 1 minute. Let's give an applause to Dr. Sab.
Not even a sweat.
No, yeah, I'm sweating. I'm the one who sweat. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, for being our first tetamu khas for DoraeME4A.
My
So we
pleasure.
hope to see you again.
InsyaAllah.
Maybe in the next, bigger room. I hope it's a bigger room, more spacious, more cooler. Amin kan,
InsyaAllah,
amin. So terima kasih banyak, and I want to give like a short space for you if you have a message to the audience. You
Oh
want
my
to
God.
share the work. Let's say you want to, if you want to audience or especially the teachers, where do they find you? Where they can find you?
Right.
Or your research?
Right.
Something you want to share?
So yeah, so if you want to find me, of course, boleh datang UKM. I think I'm easily found on the internet. I rasa, but yeah, so I do a lot of research on media literacy and media and information literacy. I do a lot of work with Google as well, and with our current project with JomCheck, in which I hope all of you can follow JomCheck. Okay, we have our social media accounts, and especially for the upcoming elections akan datang ni. And we are also expanding to not just fact check elections. We will be also fact checking, other stuff as well, health issues, economics and whatever not. So we hope that everybody can be part of it juga. Aside from that, kalau nak jadi supervisor untuk your future masters, silakan.
Wow. Nah, ada banyak pilihan. Just search, Google search Dr. Sabariah Muhammad Saleh. Profesor Madya. Kalau cari Dr. Sabariah pun dah terkeluar dah the first UKM punya website. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you again in the next episode. Sekian saja daripada DoraeME4A.